Tbilisi, Georgia. Behind me is the Meteki Virgin Church, which is actually quite pretty. It sits just above the river that flows just past it. I'm going to spend the day today exploring the city, doing a little bit by myself this morning, and then a bit later I've got a guide booked to show me around, teach me a little bit about the culture and the history of Tbilisi and Georgia. And just in front of me now is Darajan Palace. Looks like it's free to go inside, but I'm going to check it out. So I walked inside, there's 3 women standing up, dressed in black robes, chanting something. It felt a bit like I was in some sort of horror movie. So I thought I probably don't belong in there, so I decided to come out. I thought it was a palace, but it seemed to be more like a church. Behind me now is St. Trinity Cathedral. I'm going to have a look inside. From the outside, it looks pretty impressive. Well, it was very big inside and quite pretty. This country is definitely very religious, and all the females that had to enter the church had to wear a scarf around their heads, and there were just lots of guys in there with long beards and long robes chanting. But it was an interesting place to see. I wasn't allowed to take any video or take photos in there. Behind me now is Peace Bridge, which leads to the other side of the river, where there's a nice park called Reich Park. So I'm going to head across and have a look. And here I am in Reich Park. I think that's how it's pronounced, unless it's Ricky Park, I don't know. But yeah, it's quite nice here. There's a giant, I say golf ball, it reminds me of the Epcot Centre in the States. I think it's just some sort of balloon. There's a few different art installations around the place that I saw earlier from up high. And straight ahead is the dancing fountain, which is one of those typical nighttime fountains where it lights up and plays music. I'm not too fussed about seeing that later, to be honest. After my disappointment with the one in Barcelona not happening, I've kind of given up on dancing fountains. I'm now going to head into Meydan Bazaar, which is essentially an underground marketplace, a little bit like when I was in Split. I think there were bazaars underneath the city. So let's have a look. So I've just taken the cable car up from Reky Park. Reky means river, of course, like in Russian. Beautiful view here, so you can see the cathedral over there. There's Peace Bridge, and there's City Hall, which is like the mushroom-shaped building. I'm now at Narigala Fortress, which is just behind me, and we're going to go and explore. So above me now is Mother Georgia. So you can't really see too well from here. I'm going to have to get a bit of a better shot from a distance. But in her right hand is a sword, which is showing that the Georgians will defend against their country. In the left hand is some wine, showing they're hospitable and welcoming if you come as a friend. It's a bit similar to what I saw in Ukraine with the Defender of the Motherland statue, and a bit like in Armenia with Mother Armenia. It's kind of like the third one I've seen like this, which is Mother Georgia. Now inside Narigala Fortress. Behind me there's a church. It's quite a modern church. Originally there was another one, but it was destroyed by an earthquake, so this is quite modern. The fortress itself was originally built by the Persians in the 1600s. And yeah, it's quite an impressive place and beautiful view of the city, including the same things that we saw earlier: the City Hall, Peace Bridge, the cathedral. Oh, and then there's the baths down there, the sulphur baths down there, which we'll be heading to very shortly. So amazingly, there's actually a waterfall not far from where the fortress is and going towards the sulphur baths, which I'm going to check out shortly. But here's the waterfall. Just over here is the sulphur baths. I did want to actually climb on top of the roofs and walk around, but there's a sign saying you're not allowed to, but there might be an area where I can do so. And basically it's just like loads of little bathhouses where there's sulphur inside, and I don't know much more apart from that. But also behind me is one of the buildings, one of the bath buildings there, which looks a little bit like a mosque to me. So there's no signs along this part to say that I'm not allowed to walk along here. So I'm walking on top of the roofs of the sulphur bath just over here. Behind me now is the clock tower. I don't think it's called the Leaning Clock Tower, but that's how I'm going to refer to it, as the Leaning Clock Tower. There's also a puppet theatre inside, as well as this cafe here. There's a puppet theatre. And at the top there, the balcony, every hour, an angel comes out and rings a bell. I suppose a bit like in Prague with the astronomical clock there. Unfortunately, I've got another 45 minutes to wait. But maybe when I come back this way, I'll try and get hit on the hour to see the angel. I'm now at the Chronicles of Georgia. So this is the Chronicles of Georgia. Why it's called the Chronicles of Georgia, I'm a little bit confused, because I assumed that it was going to be lots of different carvings about the history of Georgia. No, it's not. It's about the history of the Bible, and there's lots of different sculptures or carvings depicting parts of the Bible. They started to build this in 1985. Apparently it was never completed, and there's no plan to complete it either. But to me it looks pretty complete from a distance. So as we're getting closer to carvings, you can see in the middle that's God creating the universe. Over there, I think that's God creating the animals, unless it's Adam. No, it must be Adam because there's no beard. I think that's Adam with all the different animals in the Garden of Eden. On this side, I guess that's him and the angels. Maybe he created the angels. I don't know enough about the Bible, to be honest. I should have paid more attention at school. Place. Some of the carvings I can understand what they're meant to be. A lot of them I actually have no idea what they're meant to be. But there's a lot of fine detail gone into a lot of these carvings. So I'm now at a place called Gallery 27. It's actually a residential building, but there's lots of really nice, beautiful stained glass windows. I've decided to book a tour today to explore some of the countryside of Georgia. I don't even know where I'm going, to be honest. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to what I'd booked. It's a full day tour, but I think I'm going to see some nice sights. So now, from what I can work out on Google Maps, I'm in a place called Tbilisi, and this is like some beautiful reservoir in Tbilisi. I'm in a place called Anna Nori, and it's named after a girl called Anna because she came from a place called Nori. And there's a few churches here. I think it's like a fortress, and in the 17th century there was a battle and lots of people were stuck inside this fortress. So there's a secret passage here, and this is where a girl called Anna would sneak out to get food to bring it back into the fortress. She was captured. I think she was killed, actually. I'm not entirely sure, but I think she was killed, and they named this complex after her because she risked her life trying to save everybody else in this complex. It's probably pitch black, but there's lots of different rooms that you can explore in here. and it goes quite high, so I'm going to work my way a little bit further up. It's still going higher and higher. Still a few rooms, and I think it leads straight to the roof. A couple of things I have noticed about Georgia. There's a hell of a lot of churches, loads. I don't know if it's the most amount of churches I've seen in a small area, so they're a very religious country here. The other thing I've noticed is lots of dogs, lots of street dogs, but they all seem quite tame, and apparently a lot of the ones in the city, at least, I'm not sure about out here, but in the city they're all tagged, they've all had their jabs, injections, so they're, as far as I'm aware, they're safe. It's okay just to go up and pet the dogs in the street, and they're all very friendly, and I've had quite a few just following me around as I've been exploring. So I think I'm at a place called Pasanori. Basically there's two waterfalls that both join here, and as you can see, one is light and one's dark. It's kind of amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before. The legend behind it is that there were two sisters. One had blonde hair, one had dark hair. They both fell in love with the same guy. The guy chose the blonde-haired girl, and the dark-haired girl sat by the side of the river and cried, and that's the dark water you see there are the tears of the dark-haired girl, and then she died. And then the blonde-haired sister, she was really upset over the death of her sister, so she sat by the river and she cried as well, and that's why you've got the light colour there. They represent her tears. Cows. There's cows in the road. I guess a bit like in Scotland. Cows walking along the road. They don't seem to be scared at all by the traffic, and are just going about their own business. Just stopped for a view of some of the mountains and hills, which looks absolutely amazing. It's really beautiful here, just seeing the horses against the mountains. I don't want to get too close because I don't know if they might try to charge at me or something. But they look quite tame, quite passive. So, at my next stop, which is a monument to peace between Russia and Georgia. I think it was made quite a while ago, and I think there have definitely been issues between both nations since it was built. So I don't know if it's still as relevant today as it was when it was first created. I'm now in a place called Kazbergi, and it's like a mountainous place with a church on the top, which is just up here. So I've got 30 minutes to explore here. I've got to get back to my car to drive us back down. Looks like there's going to be some nice views. And here I am at the church. I think I actually have to go inside here to see the rest of it. There's only a small church, but there were some nice views up there. But I think the best shots I'm going to get, hopefully, of the church from a bit of a distance. So I've seen a hill just over the way. I'm going to climb up there and see if I can get some nice shots of the church. So I thought I'd try some local cuisine. So I've ordered some khinkali. So khinkali are Georgian dumplings. I guess they kind of look similar to Russian, Bulgarian, Ukrainian dumplings. But these khinkali, I think there's 7, 8 maybe in there, were inside one giant khinkali. It's a shame because the waiter came over and cut it all open. I'd love to have shown what it was like beforehand. It was like one giant khinkali, cut open, there's lots of little khinkalis inside. And I've also gone for like a beef kebab, but it's a special local beef kebab. That's it from Tbilisi and Georgia. It's been a long day today. The tour didn't finish till quite late, and I'm getting picked up in like 2 hours to get my flight at the airport to Latvia, of course, because that seems to be the best place to transfer to get back to the UK. So I'll spend a couple of days in Riga catching up with some people. And it just seemed to make sense that I'll be able to go to Latvia in this trip, so that saved me taking other time off to do it. Yeah, Georgia's been good, it's been interesting. I think what I saw today was really beautiful. Seeing some of the countryside today was very different to what I saw in the city yesterday. The city itself was beautiful as well. Tbilisi was beautiful. And it was really cool having my tour guide Tico show me around, and I learned a bit about the culture. Didn't really get to meet any of the locals in the pubs at all, which is a shame because tonight the Irish pub was actually quite busy, and I think it would have been a great opportunity to have met some local people. But as I have to leave soon, I can't really stay out drinking tonight. Not tonight.